Hi, I'm Tricia Morris at Club Scrap, and today let's get together and make the Gone Wild page kit layouts. I love this beautiful collection and can't wait to finish it with photos. So I have it ready here just to look at a few of the things inside. We've got these beautiful corrugated tags, 3 different kinds of gorgeous ribbons, a 4-pack of really nifty bronze charms. We have 3 painted buttons, and the detail on these is just really amazing. And then of course I have the photo mats and my paper collection here, along with my printed instructions. So let's go ahead and get started. If you're new here and you haven't used an accordion pocket file yet, this is actually a project kit that I have a video tutorial for, so you can make one of your own, and I make it out of 110-pound cover weight paper, so it's nice and durable, and it has 4 pockets in it, 1 for each set of layouts we're going to be making. And in your kit you'll also find some pre-cut photo mats. These will get filed right away. Let's practice our filing skills. So for layouts 1 and 2, we're going to be using all 3 of these beautiful textured rust colored photo mats, along with 1 teal photo mat. Go ahead and put that in the pocket for layouts 1 and 2. Then find 2 amber colored photo mats. 2 of those go into pocket 3 and 4. Then we have 2 dark brown and 2 teal photo mats in pocket 5 and 6. And then finally you should have 1 brown and 1 amber photo mat left. Those go into pocket 7 and 8. Next, we need to put our papers in the order in which they'll be trimmed or prepped. So we're going to, on the first piece I want you to find is this 12 by 12 ivory print. So that means it's printed on one side and ivory on the other. And we'll set the papers aside upside down in a pile so that we'll flip the stack over when we start to do our trimming. So set that down, and then next we're going to take 1 12 by 12 amber plain. Again, that's the very, very lightest shade of brown. And then you'll need 2 teal planes. So there should be just 2 in your kit, and you'll need both of them for this one. Then you have a sheet of circular shaped die cuts. I've gone ahead and I took a craft knife and a cutting mat, and I just separated the little tick marks in the die cutting that keeps it together as one entire piece. I separated those out in advance, so you may want to do that as well. And we'll set that aside. Then you should have a sheet of cutaparts that are all border strips, and then a sheet of cutaparts that are not border strips. Again, it's ivory on one side and printed on the other with assorted images and journaling prompts on it. Then you'll need 2 12 by 12 ivory planes. And again, make sure that they're plain on both sides before you allocate them in this spot in the pile. Then an ivory print. 1 more amber plain. Oh, this is gorgeous dark brown print. So it's dark brown on one side, and it has this beautiful metallic gold ink on the other. So you need both of those. And finally, you have a medium brown or a light brown color. The 2 of those should be remaining, and those are the last 2 in the pile. Flip everything back over so that ivory print is on top, and we'll get started with our trimming. I'm going to turn to page 2 of our instructions to the ivory print diagram. That helps me verify the direction the print needs to go into the trimmer. And in this case, it just goes in right side up. And by right side up, of course, the giraffe would be on the left here. And we're going to cut at 7 inches. Both of these pieces are used in layouts 1 and 2, but rather than putting these larger pieces in the pocket, I'm just going to set them next to the pocket so they're out of my way. Next, take the amber plain that was on your pile, the next sheet, and we'll make 2 cuts. The first one's at 11 1/4, and then at 6. Do the classic. Take the 6 by 12, rotate it so it's horizontal, and cut at 8 and 4. Then take you should have 3 pieces you made. They're all the same size. 2 of them go into 5 and 6, and then the other one goes in 7 and 8. And I mentioned this as often as I remember to, but it doesn't matter the order that the items end up in the pocket as long as they're in the correct pocket. Then take the next piece. This is 5 1/4 by 12. We're going to trim it horizontally at 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. You just made 3 pieces that are the same size, and they all go into the pocket for 3 and 4. This little piece here, it's 3/4 of an inch wide. This is not used, so that is your first scrap. And then the remaining long 12-inch piece goes in the pocket for 7 and 8. Let's pick up one, make sure you just have one of the teal planes next in your stack. And we'll make several cuts here. The first one is at 11, then 9 1/2, 8, 6 3/4, 3 3/4. Okay, take the 3 3/4 inch piece, rotate it so it's horizontal, and we'll make 3 cuts. The first one, 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. And you just made 3 pieces that are the same size, and they are square. They all go into the pocket for 7 and 8. And once again, we've created a small scrap. You can set that one aside. Pick up the very next piece. This piece currently measures 3 by 12. All right, several cuts here. The first one, 11 1/2, 9 1/4, 7, 3 1/2. All right, so the 2 larger pieces, 2 rectangles, and then there are 2 smaller rectangles. Those all go in the pocket for layouts 1 and 2. And once again, you've created a small scrap. Now, if you have not been moving the paper that lands to the right of your trimmer blade as we're cutting, if you pick up that stack in the order in which it landed, take the first 2 strips. One's wider and one's just slightly narrower. Both of them go into the pocket for 1 and 2. The very next strip, which is 1 1/2 inches, goes in the pocket for 3 and 4. And the very last narrow strip is in the pocket for 5 and 6. Okay, then we're off to the next teal plane. We're going to make a ton of really narrow, what I call paper ribbons. So our measurements might seem kind of large. Large number gives you a little tiny piece. So we're going to make 4 cuts right out of the gates that are only 1/4 of an inch wide. First number is 11 3/4, then 11 1/2, 11 1/4, and 11, then 10, and finally 6. Okay, rotate that 6 by 12, and we're going to do what we do. We're going to cut at 8 and 4. So that's the classic, make 3 4 by 6s out of a 6 by 12. Take one of these and place it in the pocket for 1 and 2. The other 2 go in the pocket for 3 and 4. And the very next, the longer piece, it's 4 by 12 right now, so cut it in half at 6 inches. Gather up the 2 pieces that you just made, they are the same size, and put them in pocket 5 and 6. Then you have a wider strip. This one goes in 7 and 8. Then gather up the 4 really super tiny little strips. Let's see. One of them goes in 3 and 4. 2 of them go in 5 and 6. And the remaining single, 7 and 8. Now I have the separated die cut. There is a little map of distribution on page 1 of your instructions. So I'm going to take the section that was on the top. It has the Be Wild and Wonder on it, and I'm going to place that in 7 and 8. And then this other larger piece with the line in the lower right corner also goes in 7 and 8. I'm just going to put it on its side. Then we have this really cool just open circle that goes in 1 and 2. And then we have the elephant. Now, what I ended up doing was cutting a straight line across just above where the elephant image ends, and I use one piece on one layout and one piece on the other. So go ahead and place the elephant portion, circle, in the trimmer, and just make sure that the edge of the elephant ears is not going to be trimmed. There. Fine. Okay, so the elephant guy, he goes in 3 and 4, and then this half circle goes in 7 and 8. Moving on to the striped cut-aparts. As always, the narrowest piece will be on your right, running vertically. And we'll line up the tiny little registration marks that you see at the top and the bottom of the piece with the edge of our stainless steel blade on our Fiskars trimmer. And that if we do that, our first measurement for trimming should be at around 11 inches. And then if we scoot down to the next set of marks, I'm going to be at 10 inches. And then a little narrower here, we're at 9 1/4. And 8 1/2. 7 1/4. And again, the numbers really don't matter if you can see those registration marks where they land. 6 is the next one. And finally, we are at 3. Okay. This larger border strip here inside all of us is Hope. That goes in 3 and 4. And then The Urge to Sing, 5 and 6. Be Strong and Brave, 1 and 2. Fresh Memories Made Today, that's 3 and 4. I'll gather up all of these. The one of the zebra prints, 7 and 8. The other zebra print in 5 and 6. This print, 5 and 6. And then the real neutral goes in 1 and 2. Almost done with all of the trimming. Let's grab the sheet of cut-aparts. We'll place it right side up so that Say What is on the right and the Born to Be Wild is on the left. Okay, my first cut will be at around 9 1/2. Then we'll slide down to 6 3/4. Finally, we're at 4. Let's rotate that 4 by 12 and cut it at 6. Okay, then we'll file I Was Born to Be Wild, 1 and 2. And the zebra, 5 and 6. Pick up the very next strip. We'll place it into the trimmer so the text is upside down here. And Let's Make Mischief is on the right. First cut's about 9 1/4. 6 1/2. 3 3/4. And then rotate this piece and trim these two pieces apart. It's a jungle out there. That one was placed in pocket 1 and 2. Stand Tall and Be Strong, 7 and 8. Be Still, 1 and 2. Wild and Free, 3 and 4. Let's Make Mischief, 7 and 8. Then we'll place this one into the trimmer with the text right side up and trim these two journaling prompts. This piece I actually did not use, so I'm going to set that aside. Now we have a horizontal journaling prompt used in 3 and 4 as well as the vertical, so both of these prompts go in 3 and 4. Then this piece we'll trim apart. That was at 10 1/2. Then 8, and finally 6. This guy goes in 5 and 6. The giraffe, 3 and 4. The lion, or the tiger, 7 and 8. And Take a Walk, 5 and 6. Okay, I've got the base of layout 8 here, and I'm going to turn in my instructions to the last page, down at the bottom, lower right corner. That is the image, or the thumbnail, if you want to call it that, for layout 8. And in my pocket, I should, from layouts 7 and 8, I should be able to find all the pieces that I need for this. So this awesome die cut is going to be placed right here, aligned with the lower right corner of my ivory print. And I did some interesting placement here on this. Let's go ahead and grab this little half circle is going to be up at the top corner here. Just kind of balancing things a little bit. And then there's going to be a zebra border and then a wider corresponding teal strip. These should both nest together. And when I placed it on my page, I actually tucked it behind the die cut. And I was careful to place it in alignment with this piece of artwork on the cut apart with that little stripe. And then next to it, I put some of this really nifty unique style grosgrain ribbon. So this ribbon isn't just a grosgrain with a straight seam. It actually has kind of a bumpy edge, which I really love about this ribbon. So that too lives behind the cut apart. So maybe I'll just pick this up and place it on there. Nice. Okay, then we have a nested photo mat. So the dark brown is going to end up being behind one of this is the full-size photo mat. This is a 4x6. So this will be sitting here, and I tucked the top left corner of the photo mat behind the die cut. And then I took this gorgeous Follow Your Heart piece. In fact, I really want to have this and make a bracelet out of it as well. And I just threaded it through some of this beautiful teal taffeta ribbon. So you just thread it through the holes on either side and then wrap the ribbon around to the back side. If you want to put some elements that have the pre-printed frame on them, it's totally up to you, but you can just take scissors and cut out the shape from the square. That's fine. You can skip it if you would like. Even on my finished layout, I added brads and I just stapled some taffeta ribbon and placed that in the upper right corner. Let's take a look at that finished page with all of the embellishments added. So here are the brads and the stapled ribbon. I just take a piece, fold it in half, and staple it on and adhere it. And you can also see how the charm was added. It's just such a beautiful touch. And the circles of the die cuts to me are just really sophisticated and elegant. I love how that turned out. Okay, then we're going to take the base of our next page, which number 7, and that is ivory, which is the next color in my stack, and find the rest of the pieces that go here. So earlier we cut those 3 teal squares, and I just want to point out that every time I cut something horizontally at 11 and a half, or 11 and a quarter, 7 and a half, 3 3/4, what it does is it creates a size that fits across a 12 by 12 with a nice equal border on each side. So those measurements are my go-tos for successful distribution of 3 pieces across a page. And then I'm going to sort of anchor this with first a amber colored strip and then my die cut. You can also add another little touch to the strip here with this 1/4 inch teal piece. Whenever I attach those teal pieces, they're pretty narrow, so I just use my liquid bookbinding glue in a needle tip applicator. Then we can take some of this beautiful grosgrain once again and trim a length just slightly wider than the page itself. And I will trim the frame from this picture and add him right here. On the lower left corner, we can add 2 corrugated tags, and I tucked the upper right corner of this behind the die cut. Now whenever I tuck something like this, I always am aware of where I place adhesive. So when I'm attaching my die cut piece, I want to make sure that there is no adhesive in this area, so when I come in here with a photo, when I'm finishing the layouts, it doesn't get caught on anything. I also fussy cut this from the piece and added it to the tag, and then topped each tag with a nice, pretty generous length of this brown satin ribbon, a nice narrow size that fits really well. So taking a look at the finished page, here we have all of our little add-ons. Now here is one of those really nifty painted buttons. And there's like little mini pieces of artwork, if you ask me. I have a spool of wax linen thread in my stash. I just took some thread and tied it onto the ribbon in a tiny little bow. And that just brings the eye to the Be Wild and Wonder title over in here. It's got a lot going on this page, but I love it. This was also attached with foam adhesive. All right, let's set that aside and move on to our next pair of pages. I'll take everything out of the pocket for 5 and 6. And here is the base for layout 6, and again I'm looking in my instructions right on the right side of this image on the top of page 4. Now what I should be able to find here are 2 nestable photo mats. So sometimes you have to kind of look and say, all right, what are the bigger pieces of teal? Make sure you grab the 2 largest pieces. Now I'm covering that gorgeous giraffe, and it's because the giraffe is highlighted in a previous page, well, page we're about to make. And look how it fits right in that area. It's so, so nice. And then we're going to nest 2 amber photo mats right on top of the teal. There is a zebra strip. I'm not sure if I misfiled it. That belongs in 5 and 6. It wasn't in my pocket. So that's going to be added right here and nested with teal. And then we've got our cute little say what, and I put a little piece of stapled ribbon on top of him, and then come in with one of those corrugated tags, take a walk on the wild side. Once again, I oh, I did not. I actually just inked the edges, and it fits right onto the tag. Yay. Top the tag with some satin ribbon, and that layout comes together in just moments. Here is the finished one with the stapled ribbon and the sweet little satin tag topper. Okay, so for layout 5, we'll need the amber plain and all the rest of the stuff in our pile. So I'm going to begin with this adorable quote at the top. I also took some of this pretty taffeta and just tied it around the top of the strip and you know, trimmed the ends for just a little bit of an accent. And across the top edge, I've got one of my teal strips. Take the 2 dark brown mats that you have left and nest the 2 smaller teal mats on top of them. And then anchor the bottom edge of the page with another border strip and another little 1/4 inch teal. So that just ties it all together top to bottom. On the right side, we can tuck the little zebra behind there, and then it does get a little button tied with wax linen thread. So here's our finished page with all of the little additions on here that really make it beautiful. Of course, you'll be adding the pictures. Those will be the most beautiful additions. Okay, moving on to layouts 3 and 4. When we place our paper for layout 4, we're going to do something unexpected. The whole thing will be positioned upside down with the zebra on the right. The reason for that is I'm going to be covering this entire area with 3 amber mats we trimmed earlier. Look at this. I measured them to fit perfectly into this space. And of course, I trimmed them horizontally at my awesome measurement configuration of 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4, so that they fit perfectly here with equal spacing. Then across the bottom, I'm going to add this page title and even just draw in a little bit of that teal coloring with this 1/4 inch strip. Then on the upper right corner of the layout, let's take that elephant image and we're just going to tuck him right in there so that the top edge of the circle that we trimmed is aligned with the top edge of the page. And I just think that is the sweetest, most simple thing ever. Now, to the right of the quote down at the bottom, I trimmed the shape from the cut apart and added it here, stapled some ribbon onto it, and then added the most adorable binocular charms. Now, I just think this would be cute as a pendant too, but look, they even move. There's a hinge with 2 pieces that make it movable parts. And whenever I'm attaching metal to my paper, I always use Club Scrap bookbinding glue. And here's a glance at the finished layout, also with the addition of this sweet little button, of course tied with that wax linen thread, anchoring in the lower right corner. So just a lot of really beautiful things to look at here. It's going to be great once you add your pictures. Page 3 does feature the zebra in a very cool way. So let's get our stuff sort of positioned where it's going to end up. We've got our main title here nested with the teal paper. And then we're going to build a little mini collage up here on the left with the giraffe. He'll be kind of above there. And then all good things are wild and free. This, I again trimmed it. Now I was in a more patient mood, so trimming these from the main shape is not required. And then I also added 4 gold brads from my stash to the corners because I have a lot of gold brads laying around. Then I took 2 amber colored photo mats and nested them with teal. But now you can see that I'm covering my poor zebra. So what I did, and I've done this trick before, but if you're new, you may not recognize it. Once you sort of know where you want to place your photo mat, I want it covering the zebra a little bit. I'll take a pencil. Now here's the zebra's ear. I'm going to make a mark there. Here's his nose, and I'll mark there. Remove the mat. Then take scissors, or take a craft knife and cutting mat, and just cut along the edge of the zebra, starting and ending at those pencil marks. Then you will be able to slide that photo mat underneath him so that he is still in the foreground. There's also one last little piece of journaling prompt that I trimmed, and just slide that right underneath your title strip. On the finished layout, you can see on the back, this is the cut I made with my craft knife, and this is the photo mat that's been slid beneath it. So you can see the zebra is now in the foreground, and the photo mat is in the background. Up over here, we've got my 4 little brads and some stapled taffeta. The base for page 2 is that light brown color, and then we're going to flank the right edge of this with that really big, I think it's a 7x12 portion of the print with the giraffe. And I promised that we'd be highlighting that beautiful giraffe on a layout. Then you should have a rust-colored photo mat that will nest perfectly with a smaller teal mat. So if it doesn't nest, you don't have the right combination of sizes here. And that will fit down in the lower right corner. Next, take one of those teal mats and place it in this vertical position right here. Find the mate for the Be Strong and Brave title. I think it's the largest of the two. And we'll place this across, sort of subdividing the space. Then you have this circle. It just says "What a Wonderful World" all the way around it. And what I did here is threaded it kind of onto the border strip so that it kind of draws a circle around the giraffe. So it's kind of saying, look at me. And it sort of aligns with this round print in the background of the globe on the ivory print that you've got on the bottom here. If you'd like, you can trim the bee still from the cut apart and place that here, or just leave it as is. I stapled some ribbon onto it. And then I added this sweet little giraffe charm. He's so detailed and really, really adorable. Let's take a look at the finished page with the details here. The stapled ribbon and that giraffe. The positioning of that circle, just framing the printed giraffe, our nested mats. This is a really fun page. Page 1, light brown base, and everything else from your pocket should fit here. So you've got that zebra print. I'm going to place it vertically so that that decorative edge is on the left. I'm going to leave a little air on the left side of that light brown peeking through. And then you should have the "I Was Born to Be Wild" element will be nested with some teal, just to bring in some contrast. The teal strip should mate with the decorative cut apart. And then the space in here, I measured carefully, so you may need to make some adjustments, but you have these 2 smaller rectangles. Let's start at the top here. Then you'll have some equal spacing around so that you can see the rust mat, and then just scoot this down a little bit. And the 2 remaining pieces will fit like a glove right beneath that border strip. Finally, if you want, once again, like a broken record, you can cut this out if you don't mind the detail work. It doesn't take very long. I'm not an incredibly patient person when it comes to that, so if I can do it, tie some ribbon to the corrugated tag and place that right here. And you still have room for more pictures if you need to, but I really like the general feel of this layout. Here's the finished version with the ribbon attached and everything glued down. Here's all my spacing, looks great. This will be a fun one. And if the quote or the image isn't for you, just put a picture right on top of it and you're good to go. I hope you have fun getting a little wild and making these pages. And don't forget to join me for the awesome Gone Wild card making tutorial, also available with this month's collection. We'll see you next time.